Happy Labor Day, everybody. Welcome to the Resistance broadcast. If you are off today, we hope you're enjoying your day off. And thanks for taking some of your time on your end of summer weekend by listening or watching us. We have a good show today, so thanks for joining us. My name is John Hoey. James Bainey is still on location in Batu at Galaxy's Edge, so we are a little jealous of that. So we can't say we miss him too much because he's having way more fun probably than we are here. But joining me as always is Lacey Gillerin. Lacey, how are you?
Hi everybody. I'm good.
What are you wearing there? Is that a Thank the Maker shirt?
It is.
George Lucas, always in our hearts, always in our minds. And thanks to George Lucas, we have stuff to talk about because he created this thing called Star Wars.
What?
And yeah, it's crazy. So today we have not as much crazy stuff to talk about as we did last week, but we do have some cool stories that we're gonna kind of give our takes on and branch them out quite a bit. But first, as always, we're gonna hop into these poll results. Lacey, you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, guys, we asked you that shot of Rey looking all dark side in the Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker footage. What do we think is going on here? And we gave you guys 4 options, and you voted and said 9% of you said that Rey is turning to the dark side. 10% said other, which most of you said she's a clone. Clones. I'm so cloned out. Oh my god. 13% of you said Rey is possessed by Sheev Palpatine. So he's just possessing everybody. And 68%, the winning vote, said it's a vision or a dream. That's what I voted. I think that's what everyone out there is kind of latching on to, that this isn't as big of a deal as JJ liked to make it look in that clip. Lacey, where'd you vote, and what do you think of the result of the poll?
I said other, and then I wrote Matt Smith.
No, you didn't. Oh my god, Matt Smith.
I wish that was an option though, because it would have won.
I should have put all Matt Smith.
Matt Smith.
Yeah.
I put Vision. It just makes the most sense. It's similar to Empire Strikes Back.
Mm-hmm.
Luke in the cave, him seeing himself as Darth Vader.
Mm-hmm.
It's the most logical answer. And like you, John, I'm cloned out, and I don't want her to be a clone.
Yeah, for so many reasons. It's just like, I feel like, I don't know why this is happening, but even people who love the character of Rey are looking for reasons to devalue her as a character. And
Sure.
not on purpose, but it's like, if she is a clone, then she's just one of whatever.
Right.
And she's not, or if she is the clone, she's just the copy of something else.
Mm-hmm.
So none of that intrigues me at all and makes me happy at all. I am totally fine with Rey being a girl who is not cloned from anything, and she doesn't have royal parents, and she just happened to have the Force awaken in her, and that'd be fine with me. So I'm glad most of the people out here are thinking vision or dream. Not that, the other choices are bad. I mean, it is possible Palpatine's in the mix there. It's possible that she turns dark side. I don't think so, but that's what makes this stuff fun. And
Right.
also what's fun is your comments, guys. And the most liked comment was Semperfidani. So good job. You said, my thought is that it had a strong Luke at Dagobah parallel vibe. So kind of like what you just said there, Lacey. Could this be a Rey faces her fear training scene? So good comment there. I don't know if Rey's going through any more training by this point in this movie, though. What do you think, Lacey?
It could be the part where Luke's saying, we've given you all you know, like you have everything that we know. 1,000 generations live in you. Like, he could be saying this to her before she goes into this scene.
Yeah, and some people have really tried to zoom in on this thing and like brighten, enhance the image, and one part of on the right side of the photo there, it looks like it could be a Force ghost glow. So what if Luke's there and
Right.
he's showing her what she could have been if she went with Kylo Ren on the Supremacy when he said, join me?
Right.
Because her lightsaber's crackling, it's like
Right.
kind of like how Kylo Ren. So it's possible. But either way, thanks guys for voting. And good job again to Semperfidani for nailing down the best comment. But now it's time to send it to James Baney. Oh, not sending it to James Baney.
He's never coming back. He's staying in Batuu.
He's staying in Batuu?
Having too much fun.
Forever?
Probably not.
Probably not. They don't have food trucks in Batuu, which Baney can't survive there.
Also, you'd run out of money. It's like $200 to do anything in Batuu.
I'll tell you what, if they opened a Chipotle and an Apple store in Batuu, James would never leave. but so far, I don't think they do. That's canon yet. So I don't
Jimmy
think they're
Dong's
doing
chili
that.
dog truck.
Jimmy Dong's chili dog at Batuu, $500 a chili dog, and then we'll get the receipt in our group email. So you got it. All right, that's a little inside joke. Peeling back the curtain a little bit. Okay, guys, now it's time to send it over to me so we can get into this week's Resistance Report.
It's the Resistance.
Thanks, John.
To me.
Thanks, John. I love your hat. Thanks, John. Okay. So, Lacey, we have a few stories to get into. The first one, Kathleen Kennedy did an interview in which she's talking about how she deals with fan feedback, both good and bad. Yeah. And she says they're always listening to the fans because they're fans themselves. They don't think they have all the right answers all the time. And the reason why I wanted us to talk about this story is because it makes me think about the fan movements, like, Clone Wars Sage was a big deal for people, and Make Solo 2 happen. Obviously, it had some legs, and I feel like it's still going. Mm-hmm. I feel like they really do pay attention to that stuff. But first, I want to ask you, what are your, her comments to me seem like you expect her to say that. Like, she's not going to be like, well, the bad fans are jerks. But she says, she's like, screw
she starts
them.
naming people. She's like, this person and this
that
person.
Guy and that guy.
Yeah.
But she says she takes it all, the good and the bad. So, those are kind of vanilla statements, but did you take away anything from those?
I don't know if I took away anything except that she knows what she's doing. She's a strong businesswoman that has good common sense and knows what works and what doesn't work. And she's been in this business for so long that it's nice to see her acknowledge the good and the bad, because I think sometimes as fans we're like, are they not seeing all this negativity? I think they are, but it's also good to see that she's like, look, we're hearing you, but then we're also taking it with a pinch of cinnamon, so to speak.
Yes.
Of what is important and what isn't important. It's nice to know that they're listening to fans, but I also hope that her and people like JJ know that the negative people are the minority, not the majority of Star Wars fans.
Yeah.
Did you take anything away?
I think it was one of those things where she wants to let the fans know that she is fully aware of the toxic portions of fandom and maybe how fatigued some fans get with dealing with it. And it's her kind of way of saying, like, I'm in the trenches with you guys. Because no one takes it harder than she does because she's the one making all the top decisions, right? So,
right.
I mean, fans get upset over it. Imagine if you're the one running the ship. So, I get that. And she, one of the more interesting quotes she said here, well, two of them. The first one, I frankly love the feedback and frankly the criticism. But she also said you develop a little bit of an armor, but you learn from that.
Yep.
And she refers to the fan base as a continual focus group that's out there telling you things. And that's the part where it's almost kind of like, because I know people say, like, thank God fans don't create Star Wars because it'd be horrible. And I agree with that. But it's also good to hear her say these types of things because sometimes you do feel like the wall is up. And you feel like the fans are on this side and they're just over there doing their thing. And maybe that's just me who feels that way. Let me know if you guys agree. Lacey, do you think sometimes you get that feeling?
I don't think so. Being on how I used to work on a side of Comic-Cons where I was constantly reading what people were saying and looking at what people were talking about, I think that it's just bad business in 2019 to not be listening to your customers and to fans. Obviously, you're going to have extremes on both ends of someone that loves every single thing you do and someone that hates every single thing you do.
Yeah.
But I think there's that middle ground that does have some understanding and knowledge in whatever your business is, whether it be Star Wars or tacos or chili dogs or whatever. But I think, like you said, the quote where she talks about having an armor is something that kind of struck me, only because I feel like sometimes we're in that scenario, not obviously to the extreme at all of Kathleen Kennedy and how much gets thrown at her. But I'm saying in the sense of, with this podcast, we put ourselves out there in a public forum in front of people that we don't know and have met some of you, and you're wonderful. And some people we've never met, and some people we never will meet. And sometimes it gets hard when you read crazy comments or someone picks fights with you online about something that, like, that's not what you meant or said, or they take things the wrong way. And I'm a very sensitive person in the sense that I care what other people think, and I take it to heart sometimes. So I can understand in her scenario where she's hearing all these things and she's putting all her time and effort and sacrificing her time and effort to make these movies, and having people just hate on them on a regular basis and like make 30 YouTube videos a day about how she sucks and how she should lose her job. Like, that's not easy to hear. Right. And I don't think and I think there's this disconnect that we have in 2019 of the computer and the internet, where people just think they can say whatever they want and it doesn't hurt anybody's feelings, and oh, whatever, I'm on the internet. That doesn't change it. It's right. Still what you're saying is terrible. So I think that struck a chord with me, because I don't know about you, John, but I've been in scenarios where I read things that people say about me or just say about the show or whatever, that I'm all for constructive criticism and feedback. I love feedback. I'm very open-minded. When people get to the point that it's just mean, then you're like, okay, well, what do I do with this information now? Because you're just being mean.
I usually flip a coin. I'm like, I'm either going to say thanks for listening, or I'm going to... Bad John's going to come out.
So John will write these like, I want to say this, and then he'll just be like, I won't say it. And then he'll just delete it.
I'll quote tweet it and say, thanks for listening.
So I can only imagine, Kathleen, how many emails she's written that, or like, I don't know, tweets on her secret account that she's written that she then leaves in her draft folder.
Kathleen Kennedy's draft folder and see what's going on there. Yeah. How many emails to Bob Iger and the like. But
yeah,
I do like the last thing, the last quote here. She says, we're just like the fans out there. We're just trying to find what's cool, what's heartfelt, what's strong storytelling. And so I have to say, within reason, I love the feedback. And, you know, it makes me want to just keep telling people out there, be positive in voicing what you like and what you don't like with Star Wars. It's okay to not like stuff. Like, sometimes people say, like, oh, I don't like Attack of the Clones, and people get mad at them. That's all right. You know, there's certain ways in tack to do things. But if you want, like, stuff to happen, like, keep it going, like, make Solo 2 happen. Let's keep that thing going, like, because they are listening. I know for a fact they all saw it and they're fully aware of it. We've heard it from many people. So your voice is very important. You may feel like a very small part and that you don't have a voice. It's very important. So don't ever take that lightly. You are important as a diehard Star Wars fan in the community, getting involved with podcasts and interacting with everyone. Whether you go to celebrations or not, you are important. So keep voicing what you feel and what you love and that sort of thing, and keep it going. And I think that right there is kind of affirmation of that. And that's all we got there. But
sure,
let's move on to the next one. Our next story has to do with Mando. And we have this article here from Entertainment Weekly, and they're talking about a little more details and hints about the new cast of characters we're going to meet. So I'm just going to read you some quotes here, Lacey, and you can give me kind of like your feedback on how you feel about it.
Can I just say that it looked like they had the most fun this past weekend, the Mandalorian cast.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
They had a blast.
They look like they all like really developed some sense of like friendships, or, you know, they had a good chemistry and that sort of thing. Where with some casts, you just feel like that person's looking that way, that person's looking that way. Yeah. This feels kind of like a unit. Pretty cool. Yeah, the funniest clip was Taika was on the red carpet and Pedro comes up behind him and like does this like fake neck breaking snap of neck. Yeah, and he just like falls to the ground. And the lady's just like, oh, all right. It's like what you would think, you know, fans say like, oh, if I was ever a chance to be a movie star, like how would I handle myself? And it's like, you'd also want to say like that. Like you just want to have fun.
I feel like if you and I were those people, that's what the kind of stuff we would do.
Yeah. No, you'd put a stormtrooper helmet on and do the Fortnite dance.
Yeah. Or one of the things that always made me laugh was during Hunger Games, like towards the end of Hunger Games when they'd been together for a bunch of movies on the red carpet, like Josh Hutcherson would be answering a question and Jennifer Lawrence would walk by and be like, so how's that rash doing? And then she would like keep walking. Like that's the kind of stuff I know I would do if.
Yes. No, you gotta have fun, man. I mean that's the name of the game. Some people are pretty stuffy. This group doesn't look like they are, but
nope.
Yeah. You have a guy who's known for being a little villainous, Giancarlo Esposito. A lot of fans out there know him from Breaking Bad, of course. Mm-hmm. So his character's name is Moff Gideon. So again, that title Moff, which a lot of you will know via Grand Moff Tarkin and the like. So the quote about him: the Moffs were sector governors of the First Galactic Empire. But now that the Empire has collapsed, the governors are on their own, and some still have armies at their behest. And this one is rather ambitious. So I don't know that. I feel like this guy's going to be a little bit conflicted. I know he's known for playing a villain, but what do you take from that? Do you take anything away from that?
I kind of wanted to hear your thoughts first, because I've always said that I think he's a bad guy, because that's how I picture him in my head, as like the way he looks and the way he carries himself and the characters he's taken on. He's always a bad guy. So if you're saying he's kind of like figuring it out, I'm interested to see how you think that.
So I think he's going to be a bad guy, but I think it's going to be one of those situations where he's someone who a few years, because if you're working for an empire and you're a Moff or an officer, a high level person, you're used to knowing what you need to do, where you need to be, and how things go. Mm-hmm. That empire falls and you're kind of like looking around like, all right, now what? Mm-hmm. But you still have that military mindset. I think it kind of screws you up. And so his ego probably wants him to still be, I'm the boss, I'm in charge here.
Right.
But there may be a little bit of like, do we still need to follow this guy? And like, what are we doing here? So he may be in one of those conflicted situations, this post-Empire type of thing. And I think that makes for an interesting villain, because it's not one of those things like, well, he might be a good guy, but no, it's like, no, he's probably a bad guy, but it's a lot more layers to it in order for him to adjust to this post-Empire life.
Yeah, I could see that. Like, the question is, why would people continue to follow him? Why wouldn't stormtroopers just be like, okay, I'm out?
Yeah, right. And yeah, is it just because you're used to that, because that's all you've known, and if you go away from that, it's just, scary. You don't know what else to do.
You also can't help but wonder who's at the top. Like, is he the top, or is someone above him? Is someone above that guy? Like, who is at the tip top once the Empire falls? Right.
That's true too. And next we have Carl Weathers playing Grief Karga.
You think he's a bad guy, right? You said he's going to go bad like a Bennett. Beckett, sorry, it's not Bennett. Beckett.
Like James's son Bennett.
Yeah, Bennett. Yeah. No,
yeah. I mean, he plays the leader of the Bounty Hunters Guild, right? Mm-hmm. And bounty hunters aren't necessarily bad guys. A lot of times, like Dog the Bounty Hunter, you get hired to bring in bad guys, or people who owe people money, or that sort of thing. So there's this guild of bounty hunters, and he's allegedly in charge of it, and he kind of like offers these jobs to them like contractors. Mm-hmm. But something about it, like, I know Carl Weathers usually plays good guys. Apollo Creed, his most famous role. Mm-hmm. And Dylan in Predator, and he kind of like was a backstabber in that. So I don't know. I just feel like it's one of those things where he's gonna maybe set up the Mandalorian, like he gets paid off to set the Mandalorian up to get him killed or something.
I don't know. I think,
and that's just a
there's
guess.
Got to be characters that the Mandalorian can trust, and I feel like this is the guy he can trust.
I feel like the next group of characters are the ones he's going to be trusting.
All right. And what are those characters?
So you have Cara Dune, played by former MMA fighter, now actress Gina Carano.
Who, by the way, was adorable all weekend long.
Yeah.
And there was one clip of her that it looked like she had been crying because she was so overwhelmed, I think.
Yeah.
about like how everyone's had such a like we can't wait to watch this, and she said she feeds off of that energy and like people being excited. She tweeted at me, which was really awesome. Yeah. Whatever. I was pumped. I was screaming.
Sweet brag.
It was awesome.
Yeah, she definitely put off that energy at Celebration too when she took the stage.
I'm happy to be here is that energy that I get from her. Like that she hasn't reached her full confidence of like I can handle this, which is very, very cute. But I hope she knows that she could do this. She doesn't need anybody to tell her that she's great. She's already great.
Yeah, she had Jon Favreau tell her, and who better to tell you that than him?
Right.
So it says she sits apart from the imperialistic side of things. She fought with the rebellion, but we do know not everyone in the Rebel Alliance adhered perfectly to the moral standards. So by the time we meet her in Mando, she's gone full mercenary. So almost like, maybe a work for hire type of thing. And we see her tangle with the Mandalorian in the footage that we saw at Celebration, where they're rolling on the ground with blasters, trying to stop each other, that sort of thing.
Yeah, they're like rolling around, yeah.
So they're probably going to butt heads, or maybe they're going for the same job, that type of thing.
Right.
But it seems clear to me that they're not hiding the fact that she's going to be on his side.
Yeah, I kind of feel like she's going to be a romantic interest for him, but
I do too, and also, obviously holding her own. She looks like she's going to do some damage in this show.
Yep.
So you got her, and then you got this IG-11 waving his arms around, shooting stuff. Voiced by Taika Waititi, and it almost at least everything they're pointing to makes it sound like he's going to embody him as though he is Taika Waititi. So it says the bounty hunting droid gets pegged as IG-88, but will clearly make a name for himself. So in the show, I think they do a little like, I don't know if that's considered meta, but
that's so funny.
Kind of like how fans thought he was IG-88. He gets called IG-88 in the show and like gets mad.
I'm not IG. Yeah.
He gets mad. So I think that's a good twist there. But it sounds like he's also going to be on the side of the Mandalorian. Now, my only concern with this, I don't know how you feel about it, Lacey. I hope it's not too K2SO-y.
I said this on Monday that I thought he was going to be very K2SO.
I hope he's not, though.
I think he is.
That's boring to me.
They need a comedic relief. I think he's going to be the comedic relief.
I think that's where your boy Bill Burr comes in, though.
I love Bill Burr.
Bill Burr's not going to not be funny in this show. I'm sorry.
I agree.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
like,
Dennis
Bill Burr's
Leary
roll
was serious in his series.
Yeah, let's go get him. No, I don't think so.
I think I could see Bill Burr being like kind of rude, like because his humor can get like he likes being rude. Yeah. I could see his character being like snarky and sarcastic, not necessarily funny. Like IG-11 seems to me like comedic relief, like C-3PO or K2SO, where it's like clear that's what his role is, comedic relief.
I hope it's at least a different personality from K2SO, K2SO was very robotic. Like he's very
human. Dry, but like straightforward, and because he was so straightforward, that's why it was funny.
And everything was pretty literal with him.
Yes.
So I hope this droid at least is more of a character in terms of like having a personality, which maybe that's the case. I don't mind if he's going to be like the sidekick sort of thing like K2 is, but I just hope the dynamic's a little different than like a master and his dog, which K2SO, he's like, go wait to the ship, and K2's like, okay, whatever. Like, I don't know, but that's your taste of characters, and it's just a little more sprinkling on what we already know about them. And
it's so crazy to me that it's almost September, or it is September now. And
it's September now.
Yeah, right now. And we're a couple months away, and we really don't know that much about this show. Right.
Well, and you know what's crazy about that, though? Because I was talking to like my brother and friends about it, and other people who talk to other diehards who talk to their family members. A lot of people still think like this is Boba Fett.
A lot of people still don't know what it is.
Yeah.
I talk to my coworkers all the time, and they're like, "What is that?" And I'm like,
I showed my wife the trailer, and she goes, "Is that Boba Fett?" At the end, and I was like, "Man, they might be in trouble."
Matt said the same thing. My husband.
Yeah. But maybe they got it figured out. Maybe they just want the diehards in on this show to show the diehards that they're taking care of them. I'm not sure.
He said it looked cool though because it was so like gritty, and he loves that like crime stuff. And
yeah.
He loved Breaking Bad and like that dark stuff.
Yeah, I mean, this show could be an inside Star Wars fan thing that also lures in people who like genre. And then maybe the Kenobi is just the let's get everybody in thing. I'm not sure, but I'm excited about it. Again, for a guy who wasn't too into it early on.
For the people that said Mandalorian.
Yep, Mandalore for sure. All right, next story? All right. General Hux, Age of Resistance comic tensions are high between, guess who? Hux and Kylo Ren.
Is it because so many hugs were going around? Because he's General Hux?
All right. So it shows Hux as a kid being demeaned by his dad and that trope and that sort of thing. And then you always turn into your dad if he's
so
not
daddy
a good person.
Issues?
Yeah. Right. So that you see these frames and it's showing this and this interaction. And then later on, you see Hux gets saved by Kylo Ren. And then things happen and Kylo Ren says, I inadvertently saved you. You just happened to be there, that sort of thing. And then later on, the big part here, I don't want to reveal too much of this if people want to read it, but Kylo Ren gets beat up pretty good by a beast.
Yep.
Knocked out.
Yep.
Out cold.
Yep.
And Hux starts talking to this guy about him. And I don't know if they mentioned the guy by name here. An older man in Alderaanian clothes. So he's from Alderaan, who obviously knows the Organas. Says, I know him. I knew his grandfather. I knew his mother. And Hux says he's very much like his mother. So Hux is saying that Kylo Ren is very much like Leia, which drove Ben-Demptionists crazy. So what do you think about this?
I don't necessarily it's difficult because I don't think lines like that immediately mean another thing. I think they're just trying to remind you that he's still tied to Leia. He's still tied to his past. He's still part Leia, part Han, part Luke. Like, that's still where his legacy is coming from. And I think it's establishing that Hux knows this legacy and knows what he's capable of and what he's come from. I don't think that means necessarily that he's going to be redeemed because they brought up Leia. Because this happened, I'm pretty sure, didn't this happen before he killed Han?
Yes.
And the timeline, so then he, even after this quote was said of, oh yeah, he's just like his mother, Leia didn't kill Han, Kylo killed Han. So
right.
I just think that oftentimes people kind of pull things from comics and books and trailers and stuff to make their argument stronger, not necessarily thinking about the bigger picture of what this line means necessarily.
Yeah.
And this is coming from someone that really wants Ben to be redeemed. I really do want to see that happen. I think he's Leia and Han's son. I think it would be so depressing if it ends where he's not. But I think people read into things too much. But it is interesting to hear about the dynamic between him and Hux because we get a little bits and pieces here and there in the movies, and they're always very hostile interactions, whereas this is somewhere where Kylo saved him. And then he, in a way, saved Kylo. Like, he paid him back by not letting anything happen to him when he was knocked out. Also, poor Kylo's been now knocked out twice in front of Hux.
So this situation they're in, I guess the guy's name is Bilsma, and so what happens with Hux is he pretends that they are on the good side when Kylo Ren's knocked out, and when he wakes up, Hux calls him Ben, and he's like, Ben, you're awake, because I guess the guy's aware of the name Kylo Ren, so he calls him Ben, and because they're in a situation right now where they don't have a lot of support and they're just kind of stranded, so they don't want this guy and these beasts to kill them, so they start acting like, oh, your mother's worried sick, she's waiting for you, and that sort of thing. And then when the First Order shows up with Phasma, they're going to mow down all his beasts, and Hux says, don't kill the man. And it makes you think like, oh, maybe he does have a heart. And then it winds up that's one of the planets that they test Starkiller on. So he just he wipes him out that way later. So it's an interesting comic, but I don't like. I joked about this, and some people didn't like it, but the interactions in this between Hux and Kylo Ren reminded me of like Walter Matthau and Jack Lemmon in like Grumpy Old Men. It's just so like, hey, you putz. It's like, hey, you butthead. It's like,
yeah.
I don't like the goofiness. These are supposed to be our villains. Like, and I know Star Wars is campy, but something about the way the comics are written sometimes, like Kylo Ren stumbles upon like meat on the ground, and he's like, it looks like meat. I'm like, what? If that happened in the movie, I'd be like, what is? Come on.
Yeah.
It's like Chewie finding the food with the animal and the net and all that stuff in Jedi.
The dialogue can be a little clunky sometimes in comics.
A little bit. And, I was talking to Val about this, and he was like, comics used to be way goofier and they're taken very seriously now. And I get that, but maybe sometimes you just got to say it is what it is and have fun with them. But try not to, like you said, weave too much out of them, because 99% of fans aren't reading these. So you can't put too much in these pages that the regular fan's going to miss when they go to see the movies and that sort of thing. That's all.
Right.
Yep. All right. Anything else on this?
Not really.
Are you huxed out right now?
I don't think so. I want to see Hux be a bad guy. I don't like seeing him have some sort of a heart and or be jokey. I want him to be the annoying redhead from TFA.
Yeah. I mean, I do like that where he left him alive, and it makes you think that, oh wow, he's actually sparing him because he spared him, and then he uses Starkiller to blow up his planet. He's like, that's how I'm going to kill that guy.
Yeah, and then in The Last Jedi, we see that moment where Hux goes for his gun to shoot Kylo. So
yeah, I love that. I hope they explore more of that in episode 9.
Like, I like my Hux a bad guy. I don't like jokey, like butt of the joke Hux.
And that was like a good sort of laugh where Kylo wakes up and he just slowly puts his coat back over.
That was all Donald Gleason.
Yeah, so he improv that, right?
Yes.
So good.
Because he told Ryan that, like, his character wouldn't just stand there staring at him. Mm-hmm. Like, there would be a moment where he'd be like, well, if I...
Well, he's a weasel. And like how weasels operate, they're like, oh, I love you, you're great. And then the moment they see you're vulnerable, like the hyenas in Lion King, they'll go at you. Yeah, he's a hyena. That's what he is.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Lacey, why don't we take this to... Guys, I'm not going to do any theatrics. We're not doing a rundown this week. There's not a lot to run down, and we're not going to be punching it. But it'll be back next week, I promise. But you know what? That means now we get to go to your questions, so that's pretty cool. So, Lacey, let's hop into Ask the Resistance.
All right, guys, it's time for Ask the Resistance. I almost said Resistance Transmissions. Ask the Resistance. You've got Star Wars questions. Hopefully... we have some good Star Wars answers.
I've been wondering, what are midichlorians?
So the first question comes from Lyndon Kaiser at Lyndon Kaiser.
Nice handle.
And they asked, James mentioned the concept that Disney Plus could try for 2 Star Wars shows a year. Example, Mando and Cassian. Looking at the D23 Star Wars timeline, could Kenobi lead into a not yet announced, I love how he had to put that, not yet announced, solo sequel series later that year? John, do you think Kenobi could lead into hashtag make Solo 2 happen?
I don't know. Like, I know the odds are probably higher that a follow-up to Solo doesn't happen versus it happening.
Never tell me the odds.
But never tell me the odds. I don't think it'd be that soon, because we haven't heard anything yet. And if Kenobi's filming next year, you figure it may come out. They didn't announce the year yet, right? They're just filming next year. So you have to think maybe 2021 it comes out.
Right.
Which is when Cassian comes out. Is that right? Or is Cassian next year?
Cassian comes out next year.
Okay. So then you have Cassian, and then 2021 is Kenobi. I would say Solo probably comes after that, if it happens.
I think they're going to announce a Solo in the spring.
Are you confident about this? Like,
I am.
I don't feel that confident about it, but I want it more than anyone. But
I feel confident about it. I think they're going to announce it then, and we're going to be talking about it at Celebration.
if they don't announce it before Celebration, we're holding a rally.
Okay.
Get all the Make Solo 2 Happen shirts at the Falcon, at Batu, big group photo. And then we're going to send it to Kathleen Kennedy because she's
going to say, thank you so much for your criticism.
Thank you for the
trash can.
Thank you so much for being our focus group. Bob Iger doesn't care. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
think it could, because there are rumblings that the Kenobi series could include Crimson Dawn, so that makes sense. It goes right into Solo. The big thing everyone's talking about is on that chart that they made, guys, we finally got an awesome Marvel-ish chart of a timeline. The chunk for Solo is the only movie.
I marveled at it for a long time.
The only part of the chart that's like more than one like little tick for a movie is Solo. It's like a big chunk, and then Obi-Wan is kind of stuck in the chunk. So I could see why people would then go, well, there's plenty of time here to explore. Why not? So I would say yes. I'm saying yes.
I don't want them to be like, well, we'll give you Alden back, but he's just going to be in this person's show. I want Han and Chewie to have their thing.
Yeah, I agree with you. 100%.
Yeah, I'm not saying you're saying that. I'm just made me think of that. Like, I don't want it to be like, oh, there's those guys for like 10 minutes as a little bit of a, there you go. Now leave us alone with your hashtag.
No, I want Jonas and Alden back to have like their buddy cop type show.
And there's some fans that are like, well, how about just a Kira show? I'm like, no, I want Han and Chewie. And they're like, okay, how about an Enfys Nest show? I'm like, I want Han and Chewie. I'm like, you can do Enfys Nest too. I want Han and Chewie. Like, yeah,
I think, as time has gone on since Make Solo 2 Happen kind of broke onto the scene in May with this whole campaign, I think people need to recognize that we've always wanted a TV show, we've always wanted a movie, we've always wanted something, and just because we really want Han and Chewie doesn't mean we don't want Kira, and we don't want Lando, and we don't want Enfys Nest. Because I see a lot of people kind of throwing that our way, being like, well, I'd prefer this. Of course we want all those other things, but we also want the continuation of Han and Chewie that didn't get to finish their own story.
Right. And if you could do
in addition to all this other stuff.
If you could do 10 hours, there's a lot of time to bring all those people in and do all that.
Yeah, and you can do a whole episode that kind of maybe goes into Enfys Nest within Han and Chewie's story.
Right. Or you can do like a Dathomir situation with Maul and Kira. There's a lot that you can do. So we're all in. I mean, it's all part of the plan, the campaign. So
yep.
Yes. All right. So next.
Next is Blog of the Hut at Blog of the Hut. And they said, in the Mandalorian trailer, we saw the beginnings of what looked like a pretty brutal takedown using a door. Guys, they cut a guy in half. Do you think any more will be seen in the show? And how dark do you think the tone of the show could get? John, there were stormtroopers on spikes. Heads on spikes.
Were they heads or just the helmets?
I thought there was stuff in the helmet from what I saw.
Well, we saw... It depends on how
Regardless, someone used to be in that helmet.
It depends on how they cut it, because Attack of the Clones and The Phantom Menace were both PG, and we saw Jango Fett get decapitated. We saw Darth Maul get cut in half and watched his body get split in half.
Bounced around
So it depends on how they cut it. I can see them sticking to a PG-13, which would be a TV-14. I don't know what streaming ratings are like, if they even do them, but it's going to be
Y7 TV-14.
But streaming services do that too?
Yeah, MA. Yeah.
So I think it'll be in the TV-14 thing in the US and whatever that equivalent is internationally for the folks out there listening to us overseas. But yeah, it'll keep that Star Wars thing. I don't think Star Wars will ever go R-rated, but a show like The Mandalorian is not going to go Y7 like Resistance, you know?
Yeah. I think it's definitely going to have a darker tone. You could tell by the look of it and the music, which gave me such anxiety in the trailer. There's going to be a lot of fight scenes, a lot of killing. The thing about TV and movies with violence in particular is if you see blood or not, is how gory things tend to get. I don't remember seeing any blood in like the trailer at all. I just saw a lot of like, oh, this guy gets punched, this guy gets shot, there's no blood, no gore. I mean, the only real blood we see in Star Wars is when Finn gets to put on his helmet.
Yeah.
Like, that's really it.
Isn't there a very quick, when Obi-Wan cuts Maul in half, spray?
Is there?
I think a very like a like a mist, like a.
I don't know.
You guys know. Let me know.
But that's usually the determining factor. But I think it could get pretty brutal. I mean, they cut a guy in half, so I guess my answer would be if they end up showing you the guy actually getting cut in half or they cut away like they do is going to determine how dark it gets. But at the end of the day, Disney recognizes that Star Wars is loved by kids, so they're not going to want to make a show that's too brutal that a kid can't watch it. But at the same time, I don't think this is going to be a little kid show. This is probably going to be a middle school and up type show, I think.
Yeah, like the Mandalorian's cool.
Yeah.
Like that sort of thing. Yeah. Oh, I wonder if there's going to be a lot of Mandalorian Halloween costumes this year.
I think there's going to be a lot of dark rays, I can tell you that.
Oh, yeah. That's more cosplay than like Halloween costumes.
It's a pretty easy Halloween costume. You just wear a black cloak and then a red Darth Maul lightsaber.
So you're going to do that then?
I've thought about it.
I'm going to do it.
Are you?
I'm going to be Dark Ray.
We should take a picture together.
If we get 1 million subscribers on YouTube, I'll do Dark Ray.
Oh, jeez. All right, next up is Scott Gibson at Scott Gibby. Speaking of lightsabers, he asks, with bleeding and purifying crystals now canon, will we see this in The Rise of Skywalker, since Rey may have likely had to bleed a crystal to get her red one? Will a general audience understand this? John, bleeding crystals.
You're not going first on this one?
I like asking you questions.
Oh, that's good.
I don't think you're going to see her bleed the crystal. There's my answer.
I don't think this is a real lightsaber. I think this is a manifestation in her brain or whatever the vision is. I don't think this is going to be a tangible, actual lightsaber.
Right.
So I think that kind of puts that out. But also, if it were, I don't know that they would get into that because the general audience, I don't think they care. Like the whole.
I'm going to be honest, I don't care.
The mystifying and lore building around lightsabers really isn't my thing.
It's not my thing either. I feel like James would like this kind of stuff.
Yes. I liked Obi-Wan's description, which was, it was a weapon. It was an elegant weapon. And it was a cool, elegant weapon from a more civilized age. And all the bleeding with the crystals, and you got to find your crystal, and it calls to you, and all this stuff. You guys know how I feel about that whole thing. I like a lightsaber being a lightsaber. Let the person be the power.
I like my Star Wars simple,
and that's how we liked it. That's my taste.
John Hoey's take.
That's my taste.
Get off my lawn. I like my lightsabers fighting lightsabers.
Maybe the get off my lawn are the people who I like my bleeding crystals. maybe they're telling me to get off their lawn. How about that?
Maybe.
Because if I stand on their lawn's going to change color because of the bleeding.
It's not like a mood ring.
That's what they're saying about the lightsabers. You got to bleed them to different colors.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know enough about bleeding crystals to answer this with full 100% confidence. But I could tell you that Dark Rey is definitely a vision. It's not actually Rey. So
how I understand it is I
don't think they're going to show anything.
I think you get a kyber crystal that doesn't have a color, and then it bleeds based on how you use the Force. And if it goes red, it's dark side. If it goes blue and green, it's light side. And I believe you can't change a blade once it's bled, once the crystal bleeds. But I think that's what it is. But either way, George Lucas said it best. Bad guys use the red ones. Good guys use the blue ones. We're going to have Luke use a green one in the third movie because we have a lot of blue sky. We don't want to clash blues on blues. That's your real answer, folks.
And last but not least is Kylo Ren verse Mask at @VS_Ren. And they said, hello from Dorset, England. I probably slaughtered that. I know English names are different. I always get them wrong. Hello. They said, in TFA, Kylo Ren smashed up a computer console in a fit of rage, which is one of the best scenes, honestly. And in The Last Jedi, he smashed up his mask in the elevator. What inanimate object do you think he will smash up in The Rise of Skywalker? Parenthesis, or will we be seeing a more zen Kylo Ren? Kylo Zen in episode 9. I'll go first on this one because Kylo Ren.
Mm-hmm.
What will he smash? I think we will see him smash something. I'm not sure what that something is because we haven't really seen him in any environments to smash anything. But the console part is one of my favorite scenes, I think, in TFA, especially because he goes anything else. And it's so funny. And JJ actually said that's the part that made him fall in love with Adam Driver as an actor, because there was like this humor to it of anything else. John, what do you think he's going to smash?
Darth Vader's mask.
You think so? He's going to pull it out of that space drawer? And
He's going to be like, shut up, Sheev! Shut up! Like, I don't know. I don't know if he's going to smash his mask again. That's kind of been done, and JJ's not going to... JJ has enough of a creative mind and ego to not want to do what Ryan did. So I don't think he's going to smash his own mask.
Sure.
If the mask goes down, it's going to be because Rey hit it or something happened. He gets thrown, like something like that.
Sure.
I'm sure he'll smash stuff up. I hope he kills people. Like, I tweeted about this. Like, I don't care if he gets redeemed or not. I don't. But I need this guy to be full, like, villain. Like, I need him to kill people. I want to see badass Kylo Ren, not like, well, I don't know what I am, and maybe, and no! I want this guy to kill people. I want evil Kylo Ren for at least like 2 hours and 58 minutes of the 3-hour movie.
So 2 minutes, he could be like, I don't know.
2 minutes, he's like, oh, okay. I'm going good now. Now I'm gonna die now.
Oh, jeez.
Bye, everybody.
Guys, thank you for your questions. If you want to be on the show, make sure to follow us on Twitter at RBATSWNN on Twitter.
Right.
You can send us any Star Wars question you like with that, or you can hashtag Ask the Resistance.
Right.
And you can make it on the show.
Yep.
John,
yes.
Back to you.
Guys, thank you so much for watching, listening, being a part of the Resistance. We hope we helped close out your weekend and cure some of those post-holiday weekend blues by joining us in the Resistance base. Make sure you guys are subscribed to us. Head to resistancebroadcast.com. That takes you to our page on StarWarsNewsNet.com. That's where you can find out where to subscribe to us, where you can get some merch, like a Make Solo 2 Happen t-shirt, where you can go to our Patreon page. But before you do all that, I did just mention Star Wars Newsnet. That is our parent site, so make sure you're going to StarWarsNewsNet.com every day for all of your latest Star Wars news, reviews of the books and comics. We have a great team over there, including Kyle, Jordan, and Yelena. Your editorials, all your information on Star Wars and more, go to StarWarsNewsNet.com. And of course, we have a Patreon page too. So if you need more TRB, that's the place to go. It's patreon.com/Resistance Broadcast. We have a lot of exclusive content and additional stuff we do over there, from Q&A videos, rumor reviews, different polls, discussions, a lot of behind the scenes stuff, a lot of fun stuff we do over there. A lot of content. We make it worth your while. And the tiers start at $2 a month. So join us. We actually have The Force Awakens commentary coming up soon on the page. We're very excited about that. And I want to say a special thank you to our Patreon generals. That is Carmelo, Brian Shalito, Andrew Staley, Len Brown, who you're going to see on Thursday on our Patreon pod race. Looking forward to that, Len. Neil Lowry, Jeremy Myers, Neil Shaw, David Probus, and Val Trichkoff. Thank you so much, generals, for all of your support. We really appreciate it. You guys can find me on Twitter at Johnny Hoey and over at Star Wars Newsnet. Lacey, how about you? People can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Lacey Gillerin, where I talk about Bendemption because I want to see it happen. Yeah. All right. You know, as you guys know, James was not here today, so make sure you let him know how much you missed him, especially all his talk he probably would have gone into about the lightsaber crystals and stuff like that. But you can find James on Twitter at Myra Trunks, MIRAHTRUNKS. He will be back next Monday. with us. But don't worry, he wasn't gone for any bad reason. He was actually, he's at Disney World, having a good time checking out Galaxy's Edge and stuff like that with his family. Well-deserved break. But miss you, James. We'll see you next week. But we'll see you guys on Thursday, where we're going to talk about who do we think should show up in the Kenobi series, and when it comes to characters that we know and what makes sense. So we're going to have fun discussing that. And Will the Force will probably be back. But until then, enjoy your weeks, and we'll see you Thursday morning right here on the Resistance broadcast. We'll see you around, kids.